So how many of you know who Stephen King is? The famous writer? So I'm not a fan. I don't really like his books at all. But his story of how he became published, of how he reached his success, is an amazing story. To me, anyway. It took him 12 years. 12 years before he saw any kind of success. And being a writer, if you want to be serious about it, I want you to think about this for the next minute or so. Being a writer means that you have to sit down every day for hours. And when you go to the bookstore and you grab a book, these books are hundreds of pages, right? So you have to sit down and you have to write hundreds of pages. You have to create characters, create their personalities, right? You have to create their backstory, cities, countries, politics, history, worlds, dimensions. You've read, how many books have we read, right? And some of them are absolutely incredible. How long does it take to sit down and come up with all this stuff, right? And you write your hundreds of pages, and then when you're finally finished, you have to reread it several times over, right? And then you reread it, you find a whole bunch of mistakes, and you have to fix your mistakes. Maybe you decide that you want to rewrite a chapter or completely change whatever it is. How long does that take? And then once you're finally done, you take all your stuff and you send it to all the agents and the publishers, and then they get your paper, right? They get your book, and they say, hey, Bill, we got some more toilet paper. Yeah. Right? 12 years of failure. Okay, can you imagine what he must have went through emotionally? And the stress. I mean, he had a shitty apartment. His car was falling apart. He was barely able to pay his bills, and he really had no life. But he kept going. And the important part to this story, the important point to this story it's not, don't give up, keep going. That's not the point. The point to the story is real life. It can take years before any of us see any kind of success. Sometimes it takes years for a company to start taking off, to start making any kind of money. Years. And a lot of people, I get customers that get pissed because it takes 45 seconds for their computer to start up. 45 seconds. And people are getting angry, right? So that's just the world we live in. But a more important point, which is really something that I want to impress upon you, is that if you fail at something, like Stephen King, right? How many books was he putting out there? How many times was he rejected? How much failure can a person take, right? When you fail at something, whether 5 times, 10 times, whatever, it doesn't mean that it's not meant to be. It doesn't mean that it's not in the cards or that that's not God's plan for you. And that's something that makes me crazy, especially when it comes to religious people. And they'll tell you, oh, well, I failed because that's not what God wanted for me. That's not God's plan for me. Or the universe, it's not in the cards, right? Listen to me very carefully, okay? And I bring religion and spirituality into this because the bottom line is, in real life, this is a very important thing for millions and millions of people out there, okay? But it's important that you understand that God, or whatever you believe in, whoever you believe in, God is not a puppeteer, okay? God is not controlling you or pushing you in a specific direction. We have 100% control over everything that we do in life. And if you have a dream, if you want something, You have to push yourself to get it. And if you fail at something, it's not that God gave you some kind of a preset destiny that you have to follow, right? And any direction, if you turn left or turn right or want to take a different path, you're going to fail every single time because that's not what God had planned for you. That's not how it works, okay? You have to understand that the way it works is if you want something in life, if you're religious or whatever, if it's something good, you pray and God will guide you morally. He'll help you and he'll strengthen you to overcome the challenges that are going to come your way. But in no way, shape, or form is God ever going to hold you back from doing something that you feel you are passionate or love. It's just sometimes it's really, really difficult. And that is just something I want to make sure that you walk away with today, that if you fail at something, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't mean that you can't get your dream. It doesn't mean you can't open your restaurant or your computer business. It doesn't mean you can't save your marriage or overcome whatever obstacle or whatever challenge it is that you're facing. When we fail, it just means that we made mistakes and there's more to learn. That's it.